Goal Getting Podcast, Episode 10. It's time for Goal Getting Podcast, and I'm your host, Tony Woodall. Welcome back, and I'm sorry, please ignore this for a moment. I always do. Just don't pay him any attention. It's just my subconscious mind. Do you hear those nagging thoughts and limiting beliefs when you're working on your goals? Is your subconscious mind trying to sabotage your success? Do you want to change those limiting beliefs and negative goal-sucking thoughts from your mind? Well, don't let your mind play goalie for the other team. Get the goals you set. Goal Getting Podcast teaches you how to turn those negative, limiting beliefs in your subconscious mind into positive, goal-setting, goal-getting, success-thinking beliefs with the goal-getting, don't just set 'em, get 'em program. Kick the crap to the curb and get your mind playing for your team. Let's listen to this week's episode and get the goals you set. Hello, Goal Getter Nation. This is Tony Woodall, your host for Goal Getting Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about defining your why. Why, baby, why? And what we're talking about with that is, why do you do what you do, or why are you trying to get the goals you set? One of the most difficult things, I think, to get the goals you set is to determine what your why is, to define your why. I've found it easier to write it down as I'm thinking about it, along with my what, which is what I want to achieve, and my how, the action steps I have to do to accomplish it. So I created a worksheet to help me create my what, my how, and my why. And you can download a copy of the worksheet later at goalgettingpodcast.com/action. And I've been in motivational speaking seminars for many years. I've gone to more than I can think of, or as my grandparents used to say, more than I can shake a stick at. I used to go to a lot of motivational speakers since I was in my early 20s, when I'd first heard about products from Amway. I became an Amway distributor many, many, many years ago. And one of the things, that got me started is I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to enjoy life. And I wanted to be motivated. And so I started going to the motivational seminars to learn more about the business and different things. I got involved, along with Amway and later in life, several other multi-level marketing or direct marketing organizations. I don't have anything bad to say about them. So I'm not talking positive or negative about that particular experience, because I did learn a lot about business, about life, about sales and marketing, working in those organizations, but I also got my start listening and studying motivational speakers. And I loved motivational speakers. I still listen to motivational speakers today. I've listened to some of the best. Went to several Tony Robbins seminars. I've got and read all of his books and several taped programs of his. Mark Victor Hansen, I listened to him before he did Chicken Soup series that he's involved in. I've listened to many, many motivational speakers. I did the sound for one, Mike, and I can't remember his last name now, but he helped me, in talking with him one morning at breakfast. We were talking about, being motivated and being successful, and we talked about some family relationships that I had had with my birth father, and they weren't good relationships. And he was talking about how we have to forgive those who have wronged us. We don't have to necessarily want to be around them or like them, but we do have to forgive them. And that was, key. It has nothing to do with motivation, other than it does motivate you, because being angry with people doesn't get you motivated. But when we're talking about goals, one of the things that I did at, going to motivational seminars, one of the things that you see frequently, they ask you and they start bringing up all these different things that motivate people. And what motivates you? Is it, new cars? Maybe it's that Rolls Royce or that Bentley or the Maybach. And, in my day, back when I was going through this as a youngster, Cadillac was the thing. It was the Cadillac Eldorado was my favorite car that I always wanted back then. And that was the thing that you strive for, was to have a big fancy car, whether it would be Cadillac or Rolls Royce or Bentley back then, or a Ferrari or BMW, a sports car or something like that. Is that what motivated you? Was a new car, or maybe it was a new home or a mansion. I remember talking about getting this big home with white columns on it. I am from the South, so we, always envision having the, columns on the outside of our homes. And, one of the things, you wanted a home on a golf course or a beach house, a mountain retreat, or a second home, for vacations on the beach or whatever. So a lot of times you are motivated or tried to get motivated for, success or, to make a lot of money or whatever. And, money motivated is a big thing a lot of people talk about. And I personally am money motivated. I like to do things to earn money. But money is it really the money that's motivating you and me? And I got to thinking about that later on in life. But, we think about money and what are the things that motivate you. And today's episode is really kind of about motivation. So I want you to think about, while we're talking here, what motivates you? What gets you excited to get out of bed and to do things like that? What motivates you? Because we start looking at these things as we start looking at new cars, new homes, vacations. I love to cruise. I've been on many cruises with different cruise lines, and I just love it. But I do love to travel. I haven't traveled as much as I like to. I've been mostly in the Caribbean. My goal is to travel on the Pacific side, out in the Pacific, go to Hawaii, Tahiti, Singapore, maybe some other places in Asia. I still want to visit Japan as a martial artist. My martial arts instructor and sensei and grand master is in Japan. He's been over to the States several times, and I've taken seminars with him and learned, but I really never got an opportunity to go to Japan and train with him there at the schools there, and that's still one of my goals. So travel's a motivation, and financial. Maybe, you've got, the goal or the motivation is, money. Again, financial is a big motivator for a lot of people. You've got, kids maybe, and you want to put them through college, put yourself through college maybe, or pay for the college that you got. Most of the millennials these days have so much college debt, student loans and things like that. I'm paying for my daughter's student loans, or my student loans for my daughter, not her. She has her own student loans, which are more than mine, which is really sad when you think about it. But maybe you want to do something for putting yourself, your children, or your grandchildren through college at some point in time. Maybe you just want to increase your income or get a job. Those are some motivational things dealing with, financial or money. Maybe your motivation is health, to lose weight, to get into better shape, to be able to run a marathon or an ultra marathon. I found out, I didn't realize there was a such thing as a ultra marathon until recently. One of my coworkers was talking about his wife and he who do ultra marathons on the weekend. I didn't realize they were called ultra marathons until afterwards, but he was talking about how she goes out to run 100-mile runs on the weekend, and it's like a 36 hours of running that they do. Man, that is amazing that somebody can actually run that far. You have to be motivated to be able to do that, in my opinion. But, what we want to talk about today is not these types of motivations or the things that like this that, excite you or motivate you or that you'd want to have. These are goals, I believe. They're not really motivations. They are goals that you can have, but when you think about goals and setting goals and achieving goals, one of the key elements that I used to always forget about and never really thought about as I didn't really forget about it, I just never really thought about it, was why do I want that? And another motivational speaker, and I'm terribly sorry that I can't remember which one it was, that I had heard and was talking to one day and listening to one of their talks, and they said, you really have to know your why. And I didn't understand that when I first heard it, and I got to thinking, why? Why do I do this? And that's really one of the biggest things that you have to think about when you want to set a goal and learning. And now part of the goal getting, don't just set them program that I teach on this podcast, the Goal Getting Podcast, but at seminars and everything else, webinars that I do, is talk about knowing your why. And I used to just talk about in my presentations that I did for goal getting, even before I learned about the why part, was you had to understand your motivations. And really, when you think about motivation, there are two types of motivation that I learned about. One is people are motivated by what's called away motivation. They are really trying to get away from something, and that kind of motivates them. And so the fear of going into bankruptcy is something that motivates a lot of people. They don't want to, lose everything. They don't want to go to the poorhouse. So that is one thing that motivates a lot of people, is moving away from something bad. They don't want to get sick and die. They don't want to have a heart attack. They don't want to, have an accident or whatever in their car, so they drive safely. But those are the away motivations that people have. And I used to teach that, what are you trying to get away from? And then the other is towards motivation. We try to get things to come towards us, like joy or happiness, or, a feeling of excitement, or, adrenaline rush, whatever it is that, we want to get that feeling or that excitement towards us. So we have a towards motivation, and then we have the away motivation. And that's what I originally thought about as the motivating factors for setting goals, until I heard the motivational speaker, the talk that someone gave. And again, I apologize because I cannot remember who it was that I was listening to. But what they really talked about was, and this is what I teach now, is you have to know your why. Why do you do what you're doing to be successful, or what is the reason why do you do your goals? And why is very important, and you have to start looking at it. And I've been studying in the past Lean, Six Sigma, and Six Sigma type programs, and one of the things they teach you in the Six Sigma processes is to ask why. There's minimum of 5 to 7 whys that you have to go through to be able to do it. It's kind of like 3 or 4-year-old. When my daughters were young, I dreaded the 3 and 4-year-old stage, because they asked about 4,000 questions a day, it seemed, one every minute. And typically my daughters, they would always ask why. And, you never necessarily knew the answer. You eventually, because I said so, was a lot of times the questions that my parents used to tell me. But, and I did actually use that on my daughters a couple of times, and it was really wrong. When they wanted to know, especially as they got older and I had to tell them they couldn't do something, they always say why. But that's a different kind of why. But as a child, your curiosity as a child is very strong, so you're always wondering, and I think it's sometimes just a matter of habit after a while, but you have children as they're growing up, 2, 3, 4 years old, that start asking why about everything. You say, do this, and they go, why? Well, you do this, why? Because you need to do it this way. Why? Well, you need to do it that way because this, and they go, why? And everybody is questioning authority and questioning, the reason for whatever you're telling them to do at that age. And that's because they're learning. And when you're working with your goals, and when you're working with motivation and things like that, you really have to understand what your why is. Why do I want to do this? For example, why do you want to lose weight? I've been wanting to lose weight for quite a long time. And, mainly you got to think about asking yourself, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to lose weight because I'm tired of being fat. I actually had one of my youngest daughter came up to me one day. I was sitting on the couch and she jumped in my lap, and she's probably 3-4 years old, if that old, and come up and goes, "Daddy, why are you fat?" And it just hurt like crazy, but she didn't mean anything by it. She was just wondering because somebody had said something about fat people, and probably maybe even talking about me. But I was overweight, incredibly overweight at times, and she goes, "Why are you overweight?" And I didn't have a good answer for it other than the fact I like to eat and I didn't eat properly, and that's not a good thing. But when I started trying to lose weight, I really didn't think about my why for that. I started thinking about, well, I just don't like being overweight, and I look ugly, and I look fat, and, that was kind of my motivation at the time. I didn't want to be fat. I just wanted to, be thin like, people are supposed to be in life. Well, as I got older, I got, medical problems because of being overweight, and became a type 2 diabetic. And now as I start thinking about losing weight, and I am on a weight loss program, and I've lost a bunch of weight, and when I hit that scale one morning and realized and looked at it and it said I was 296 pounds, I almost crapped my pants, to be honest with you. I just could not believe it. I'd been traveling a lot and eating out a lot and eating terrible foods, and usually eating very little during the day and then eating a big dinner or a whole entire Domino's pizza or something in the hotel room right before going to bed, which is a horrible thing to do. And that led to obesity. It also led to the type 2 diabetes. And now, when you get into that particular health situation, it costs money because you're spending money on, all these different drugs, because not only do you have the diabetes medicine, you end up with high blood pressure, several other different things you can get, cholesterol, high cholesterol levels. So you get on all these different medicines, and dadgummit, that's expensive. So, when I started my weight loss programs now, as I got older, I started thinking about what I need to do. What is my why? Why do I want to lose weight? It's not just to look good. I'm married. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I'm not trying to impress the ladies or anybody else. I got over that long ago. But as I start thinking about my why now, my why is because I want to be healthy. I'd like to live longer. I'm getting up in age. My parents didn't live as long as I would like them to have lived, and my grandparents also had health issues and ended up passing away too early. And I started looking at this with my children, who I love dearly, and want at one point in my life to have grandchildren and be able to play and love and run around and have fun with them and spoil the crap out of them, take them to Walt Disney World or to amusement parks and things like that and have fun with them. Play ball with, if it's a boy or girl, play ball with them, run with them, just have a good time. And to do that, I have to be healthy. I have to live long enough to be able to do that, because I'm not sure my daughters are going to do it anytime soon, to provide children for me to have grandchildren. So, in that respect, I have to live a long time to be able to get where I can enjoy those bundles of joy. And right now, if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to do that. But the other is, ask myself, well, why does that matter? Well, I want to stop paying a heck of a lot of money for drugs, and, I want to save the $200 or $300 a month that I'm paying on drug medicine. So if I start looking at the different whys for just losing weight, I realize that my ultimate why is, for me, is to not have to pay that money that I'm paying the doctor, and to live longer and to live healthier. I want to be able to do a lot of things as I get older. I don't want to be restrained to, wheelchair or, having to sit on a couch and things like that. So I start thinking about your why. And, as I had my daughters and was raising my kids, I realized a lot of my why at that time became my daughters and my children. And I wanted to succeed. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to have a better career so that I could provide them with the things that I couldn't provide. So when you're thinking about your goals, what I want you to do is start thinking about why. At least start thinking about, why do I want it? And you need to keep asking yourself, if you say, well, I want to be successful, I want to make a lot of money or double my income. Why do you want to double your income? And I'm working with a client now who wants to double her income. And we're talking about business and how she can do that in the different ways. And I said, well, let's focus on what your why is. Why do you want to double your income? I mean, yes, you want to make more money. You want to be able to spend more money and do different things, but why do you want that? And we got to talking, well, I want to be able to, do this, or I want to be able to provide for women and be a motivational, person to other women at certain ages. I said, well, why do you want to do that? And well, I want to be able to, do it so that I can make a little bit more money and be able to provide for my son. I want to help him go to college. So as we start going into the why, we keep asking, okay, so why do you want to do that? So why do you want to do that? Why is that important to you? As you start asking yourself those questions, you start really defining what is the real reason that you're doing what you're doing. And the reason I say that that's really critical, and the thing that I found when I was talking with the motivational speaker that set me straight on this motivation is know your why. Because when you get frustrated, when you get down, when you get extremely tired and things aren't going your way, instead of just saying screw it, you start thinking about, well, why am I doing this? And that why is stuck within your brain and within your heart. You understand why you're doing this particular goal, what it's going to take. You're going to continue to do it. You're going to continue to start fighting to be the success and to get the goals that you set. You're going to make that final decision to continue because you know why you're doing that. It's really important to understand your why. It's not just because you want a new car. It's not just because you want to travel. It's not just because you want to have a big house, bigger than the Joneses or whatever. Or it could be, it depends on what your why is. Everybody's different. What is your why? Maybe your why is because you want to be, better than the Joneses or have more than your neighbors. And that's okay. It's your why, and that's what's important. Knowing your why is very, very important, not just in motivation, but, in life. So you want to make sure when you're setting your goals, as part of that, when you write down your goals, what you want specifically. You're very specific. You're being realistic. You set that deadline. You've got your action plan. You're working on your actions that you have to take, and you are taking actions. You're measuring it and you're tracking your progress as you're going along, and you're seeing that you're doing that. Every day you start thinking, not only do I have the what and the how, I now have the why. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it keeps you motivated. It keeps you wanting to go forward. It keeps you on that track and on that path to achieve your goals. And as long as you know and understand what your why is, it will make traveling on that path to success and achieving your goal much easier. So make sure you sit down, you think about what is your why. Know your why. And when you know your why, you'll be successful. Michael Hyatt has a goal setting program that he teaches, and I was listening to him talk when he was doing it at the earlier part or end of last year. And his wife, Gloria, has a quote that she says and that he talks about is, when people lose their why, they lose their way. And that is a valid thought. If you don't remember or can't understand what your why is, you kind of lose your way, or can easily lose your way while you're trying to achieve your goals. So, get your why, find out what your why is, and keep thinking about that. I like to keep my what, my how, and my why available for me where I can read it and look at it on a daily basis. So when I get to where I'm frustrated and just say, is it really worth it? Then I can say, yeah, it really is. And this is why it's really worth it to me to keep doing what I'm doing. So this is Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. Make sure, along with the rest of the steps to successful goal achievement, that you define your why. Know your why, and you won't lose your way, as Gloria Hyatt says. Have a great day. This is Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you coming back every week and listening to the Goal Getting Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, please go on over to iTunes and Stitcher. If you're listening on Stitcher, I appreciate it. But if you like it, leave a review. We would appreciate it. Let us know what you're thinking. If there's anything that you want to talk about and that we can help you with, you can go to our goalgetting.com website in our show notes, and we also have a comment section. Please leave a comment about the show, about something that you want to talk about, a goal that you have that you might need some help with. I do coaching. I'm happy to see if we can't work something out where I can help. If you want to, just tell everybody what your goal is and tell us some of your successes. That we'd love to hear what your successes are as well. Next episode, we're going to be talking about visualization and being able to visualize what you want to achieve and putting yourself in it and how that can help you be more successful. So thanks again. I appreciate it. Love listening with you and being part of your life, and I appreciate you listening. Again, Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. Check us out on goalgettingpodcast.com, and you guys make it a great day. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I wanted to let you know that I do find it easier if I write down what my why is, and while I'm trying to think about it, it helps get that in my brain. But I also like to do it at the same time I'm working on defining my what and my how. The what being what is it I want to achieve, the how being how am I going to get there with the action steps that I need to take to accomplish that goal. So when I want to do that, when I want to sit down and write those out and figure out exactly what my goal is, how I can get there, and why I want that goal, I created a worksheet so that it would help me to put that in one spot. So that way I can also keep it stuck on my wall if I wanted to look at it on a day-to-day basis, which you do. You want to make sure that you check your goals at least once a day and you know what your plans are for that day and what you need to do to accomplish certain things. So I created this worksheet, and you can get it by going to goalgettingpodcast.com/action and downloading your copy. Join the Goal Getter Nation. We'll send that to you absolutely free, and you can use that to, keep track of your goals. After you've developed that on your worksheet, you can get it and put it on your wall. I'd stick it on my wall on my goal board here, and it helps you to, maintain that focus on what you're working on. So goalgettingpodcast.com/action. Go out there and get it and download your free copy. Join the Goal Getter Nation, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.